Hello.
Beep, 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 beep. Morning all. How you doing? Here we go. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. Right, you lot, come and be a warrior teacher starting in October. Come on! The fun is on. I've been with the warrior teachers this week and it's been fabulous. Some of them in year 3. And we've been talking about one thing that's very important to what's happening at the moment, which is affinity groups. Now, we've all seen Wes Streeting fanning around in front of a bunch of LGBTQ gender identity ideology nut jobs. Okay, we've all seen it. Now, what's really interesting about this particular phenomenon is that we've had James Esses give us one take, Transgender Trend give us another, and Julie Bindle give us another. They've all got similarities, of course. They all come from the same sort of pot that we all are in, which is we need to end this completely. But here's the thing: it's dividing some of the people that are seeing what the information is that's coming out. I believe that the full video will be up shortly showing what Web Streeting was up to. So I've got my take on it. Before we do that, please do buy me a coffee, subscribe, the usual stuff. Other than that, let's crack on because I've got quite a bit to say about this. Now, we have a serious problem here. Let me begin by saying this. What the hell is Wes Streeting doing? Meeting with a fifth column lunatic group of people embedded in a public sector organization that we pay for. Can somebody explain that to me like I'm a 4-year-old? What's he doing there? What's he doing there? What on God's earth did he think he was doing meeting with these lunatics? Right? So that's the first thing. Secondly, some people are saying, Wes Streeting is a traitor, but he's done X, Y, Z, right? And other people are saying, no, wait a minute, he was caught. He had to talk like this because he was asked a lot of questions about gender identity. He was done this and all this snivelling nonsense, right? It's all snivelling nonsense. The bloke shouldn't have been there. It's that simple, right? I'm up to my eyeballs with this now, this absolute crap. And I think we, the collaborative we, need to give some serious thought as to what the hell he was doing there in the first place. So from that perspective, that's where I'm coming from. We still are left with a situation where what Wes said is there's a problem with it, right? Now, this is a man. Yes, I'm assuming his gender. This is a man who is given an important and very responsible role by us via the process of democratic elections. He is given an important job. He is a leader of the country, one of the leaders of the country. He is in a position of very high authority. And I think his performance was pathetic. I think him being there was pathetic. I'm fed up with these people now, right? Fed up. Because what we need is a situation whereby we can say with absolute clarity and without being worried about it, that what we've got is a cult at work. A cult. It's interesting because, as I said, we've been doing affinity groups with the warrior teachers this week. There's no way that affinity groups should exist for LGBTQ, BAME, whatever it may be. No way these groups should exist in the public sector. Private sector will get shot of them because the private sector is about money and eventually they'll realise they're a dangerous group and they'll get rid of them. Public sector, it's harder, but somebody needs to do it. Shut them down. You come in, you do your job, you go home. What the hell do they exist for? There is no reason for their existence. None. Not one. Right? None at all. So that's what Wes should be saying. I'd like to thank you for coming, but it's the last time you're ever going to meet as a group on the public dime. Goodbye. And secondly, we need them to say unequivocally that trans and gender identity ideology and LGBTQ is a dangerous phenomenon in our society, and that they should say so without worrying about the fact that they're saying it, because we know it harms children, it harms adults. When you give them these drugs, it screws them up. It ruins their bodies. It causes a cost to the NHS. And in other words, it causes a cost to us. And we're having to tolerate gusset fumblers wandering around the workplace and on buses. And from a gay men's perspective, tiny little women with wispy beards who think they're a gay men and therefore they can pretend they're going to date them. Right? This cannot go on, this unreality. We are living lies and we cannot live lies. And it's time we had somebody of power who says, we will not live lies anymore. It's done. It's over. And they shut down the whole bloody edifice from the education in schools right the way through to the medical treatments that are going on. Close it down. End of story. Because its existence is what is causing the production of new deranged people we have to deal with. It has to go. So Wes Streeting right? I don't want to argue over the fact whether or not he was being deliberately pro-trans or whether he was being put on the spot, as we're seeing being argued. The man shouldn't have been there, and he should have been making unequivocal statements about ending this. Now, then we've got to go into the schools and teach against it, right? We're going to have to teach children what virtual cults look like, because this is the first, but it ain't going to be the last. I can promise you that now. And the world that they're going to live in is going to need to they're going to need to understand that. We have to teach against it, right? I do not want to live a lie. I don't want to have to pretend that the bloke sat on the bus with his all his fetish gear and his womanhood and his woman face on is a bloody woman. And I don't want to have to pretend that children that say that they're male when they're female, that there is nothing wrong with them when there is something wrong with them. The parents don't want to have to do that either. It's heartbreaking for them. Right, so for West Streeting a man who's got great power to go into this meeting and sit there and whinge and wibble in case he might upset the trans lobby is utterly pathetic, regardless of whether you see it through the lens of transgender trend, James Esses, or Julie Bindel. It ends. All of it. That's what we need. Somebody with the power to come in and say, we're done. We are done with you and your nonsense. End of story. It goes. We get all of it. Every mention of it out of the NHS, out of the universities, out of every public sector body. Anybody that receives public money, you get the whole lot out. It goes. Because until we do that, nothing will change. And what we are doing is simply rehashing the same old arguments again, which I can understand. I'm not blaming anybody for that. But a parent who understands the reality of this, who is stuck with a child that thinks they're something they're not, that parent and that child need the utmost support, but under no circumstances should that support ever be in any way about changing the physical body, the possibility of doing so, or that any of this is anything but unreality and illness and fetish. I don't care what he said. He was never part of the solution in the first place. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.